Let's take a look at my Hinoki Cypress. So before we get into the main video, just an update on the Brazilian rain tree seeds that I planted. As you can see, they are now sprouting. They're growing well. 4 out of 5. Very pleased. I'm going to plant the other 5 up soon and then see how we get on with them. Bit of new growth coming through. So this is my Hinoki Cypress obtusa Maureen. And today we're just going to be taking off some of this old wire and then trimming up some of the foliage, because as you can see by the bright green tips, it's grown quite well. I left a few issues on the tree, let's say. There's quite a few structural flaws still left on this tree, so I'm going to be correcting them today as well. Removing this old wire and then trying to make more space for both the design and future growth as well. As you can see, it's becoming a bit bushy now. There's a little bit of trunk you can see there, but it is becoming a little bit bushy, so does need a cut back before springtime. So this wire I've applied here, there was one on the trunk which was to bend the top of the trunk because it was quite straight after the first kind of section of branches. I've now had a little bit of movement to that, just a little sweep, nothing major. And then I did also wire down some of the lower branches. Again, nothing special, it's just to give that effect of snow load or age, I guess, right? Because this is kind of styled like what I envision an old oak to look like. I wouldn't be able to specifically say how old. But I don't know, it kind of reminded me of trees that I saw around Kew Gardens. Went there a couple of years ago, and I like the way the foliage on this tree kind of, hangs down at the ends rather than pointing up, and it kind of gives it an old kind of feel. And obviously it's quite small foliage as well, so compact growth, which means you can get a smaller scale at the tree as well. So just getting a bit stuck here, just trying to figure out where that wire's actually going around foliage well, because I don't want to rip any branches off. That's not my intention. So I've actually had a bit of dieback on the inside of this tree. And that's partly the reason for this cutback now, is because I was realising there wasn't enough light getting through to the interior kind of branches. The back's quite bare, but the front is quite full. So you'll see me in between picking off some dead branches here and there. And the main idea with this tree is going to be to cut some branches back and then try a pinching method as well. Some of them are hanging a bit too far down. Now I've got branches kind of growing into other branches. Just trying to create a bit more separation there. I'm just inspecting the base here, just seeing what's going on with that. I've got some either dead roots or dried up roots on the surface here. That's usually due to fertiliser. And I've also got this kind of, overgrowing root. I don't know how to put that. And there's also a bit of inverse taper, towards the bottom of the trunk there. So, I mean, it's a fault, but it's a fault that I might be able to fix with time. And if I can't, then every tree has a fault or two. I'm not looking for perfection with my trees. I quite like the naturalistic look. And naturally, trees can have a bit of inverse taper. So there's one more spin round here. I think the width needs to come in. I think it's a bit too wide for the trunk size in terms of scale. And I'd really like these bottom branches, well, all the branches really, to have some more interior growth so I can cut back to that and just bring the scale of this tree down a little bit. I'm a big fan of the shape and the styling for now. There's a gap at the back that I need to fill in. I'm hoping one of these branches can kind of come over, fill in that space. Quite happy with the apex for now as well. There isn't much to it structure wise, but it looks like a top of a tree, right? So here we go, the pruning then. So this is all going to be in, I think it's 2x speed. Just because you've seen me do all this kind of stuff before, but the reason why obviously I show you every tree that I do is just that it's a bit different every time, different species. The way I approach each style. Enjoy. So as you can probably see by now, there's a bit more separation going on between each of the branches, and there are some branches here that I'm cutting back. I'm trying to take a bit more vigour out of the top of the tree and leaving a bit more on the bottom. I don't want these bottom branches to die off on me. It's a very slow growing tree anyway. I mean, this has probably grown about 3 to 4 millimeters in the year that I've had it so far. And that's with quite heavy fertilising as well. If anything, it's got more bushy, right? So it doesn't really grow long. It just grows more and more. I suppose they're thorns or needles. What they're called in this one. Just thorns, I suppose. Now eventually on this tree, my plan is to create some Deadwood somewhere. I'm quite a big fan of Deadwood on deciduous trees. I know in the typical bonsai kind of practice, Deadwood's more for pines and junipers. You know, I kind of understand why, because it's harder wood, it will last longer. On deciduous trees it doesn't really last that long, eventually it will rot away. But I don't know, there's an oak down the road from me, I'll try and get a picture of it one day when I go past it. And half of it is dead. It kind of looks like it's been struck by lightning or something like that. But yeah, I mean, Deadwood on deciduous trees does happen. You know, branches do die off for whatever reason. And there's a park near me, called Highlands Park. There was loads of oaks that were in that. And then the weather we had a couple of years ago, where we had that really hot summer for it was like 40 degrees one day. We had no rain for about 6 weeks, I want to say. In the UK, it's unheard of. And quite a few of the trees that year in Highlands actually died off, or parts of them died off. You know, so it can happen, and that's what we're looking to do. Again, naturalistic in ways. You know, this tree's styled more for that kind of up, out, and then down at the ends kind of growth. You know, you find most deciduous trees will be growing up. Their branches grow upwards first, they go out, and then they go down if anything. So yeah, that's kind of style I'm going for with this. As you can probably see from the video as well, because I've got a light above, you can see there's way more light getting into the trunk of the tree and the base of these branches now. So obviously when spring comes around and the sun starts, that'll help, hopefully, with backbudding. And just a bit more interior growth really, so I can keep on cutting back. This is actually one of my favourite style trees. It was one of them ones where, I don't know if you guys have ever had it, leave it in the comments if you have, but sometimes you go to like a garden centre or a nursery place and you can kind of pick up a tree and the first time you style it, it kind of looks good straight away, right? It doesn't require much while. You're not waiting 5-6 years to ramify and everything else. I just feel like this, for me, just kind of hit the spot after the first style, and although I left a few structural flaws to then get rid of in the future, that's more because obviously I made the bonds, I made the YouTube video and wanted to show it was done kind of thing. But yeah, for sure this one just kind of straight away reminded me of an old tree. I don't know if it's the foliage, the branches. I mean the branch part is pretty good. There are still some issues, like bar branching and stuff, but I'll have to work on that as the tree grows in more. Again, this gap at the back, really need to fill that in. I think we're about there with this tree. And there we have it. One more final walk around the tree here. I like these camera angles. Just wish I had a better camera. And the damaged cap. Not too much off. Little weed out as well. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and give a like or a comment. I'll see you again soon.